Hello again. Hi, this is Troy over at Troy's Cards, Cars, and Comics 2. Coming with you tonight with a short, hopefully short, comic video. Hadn't actually brought out any comics in a while. This past Friday, on Aloha Friday, we were talking comic books, and I actually had gotten some out to show. And I just ended up grabbing some, um, some of my early X-Men comics. Just happened to grab the stack where comic book number 298 from the Amazing Spider-Man, which is the first issue that was penciled by Todd McFarlane, was, and then 2 issues later is issue number 300, which is a really big book as far as value goes and everything like that, and it's one of those sought after kind of books. So, and I do have that and got to looking at it, and it's in really, really good condition. Um, got to talking to one of the guys on Aloha Friday, Kevin with Random Reads. If you don't follow Kevin, make sure you go ahead and click on his channel. But he ended up looking up the value of the comic graded on cover, cover space, I think it is. COVR, I think it was space, but I'm not sure. It's like he compared it to the basically Beckett for comic books and versus sports cards. And it was interesting to find out that comic, the Amazing Spider-Man number 300 is actually worth a lot when graded. Made me really think about it. Since I do have 2 copies of that comic, I've got one newsstand, one direct. The newsstand is definitely more read or more well read than my um, direct copy. So I'd probably, if anything, maybe get the direct copy graded. But since I did do the comics, I figured I'd dig out some more and show a few of them tonight. I tried to go ahead and stick with the number ones because I don't have anything recent. These are all from the 80's, just like those Amazing Spider-Mans were. First one I grabbed is the Marvel Saga, number 1. Of course, everybody knows pretty much all the characters. Uh, that's going to be Galactus there in the top left. And then Professor X, Reed, Sue, Ben. That's going to be Johnny over there, the big flame that didn't even look like a person. Um, that's going to be Hank Pym, Logan, also known as Wolverine, and the Guardian from Alpha Flight. The cover actually is a full wraparound cover showing a Celestial, Steve Rogers frozen in ice, Dr. Stephen Strange. Not sure about that young fellow there, and of course, young Peter Parker. For all you guys who are um, fans of Marvel Comics and the Marvel Heroes, I would say this is one of them that's nice to look up. The opening in the first page says, "Welcome to the Marvel Saga." In the pages of this monthly series, you will embark on a journey through the wondrous history of the Marvel Universe in a way that no one ever has before. Now, for the first time, the entire sprawling body of the events that is Marvel history events that you've been clued into in bits and pieces over nearly 25 years of comics is finally available in a sequential narrative form. That is the essence of the Marvel Saga. So it's definitely worth getting, worth looking up if you like older books. Here's the first page. The art's pretty good. But this first issue outlines, as you saw there, Galactus and the Watcher, Uatu. It talks about, let's see, oh, there it is. Kid Code, The Adventures of Kid Code, the Rawhide Kid, the original Knight Rider, and the Two Gun Kid. So the kid on the cover is going to be, from looking at the picture, that's going to be the Two Gun Kid. Talks about Union Jack, Hercules, the Celestials, the Inhumans. Goes on to talk about Steve Rogers, Stephen Strange, Nick Fury, Tony Stark, Mr. Banner, Henry Pym, Dr. Don Blake, also known as Thor back in the day, Charles Xavier with Jean Grey, Matt Murdock and Foggy Nelson studying law in college. Even talked about the Submariner. But it's got a few pages, definitely chronicling the events that led up to the creation of the Fantastic Four. Reads, yep. Run, Reed, darling. He's turned into some sort of thing. He's as strong as an ox. That's going to be Sue talking about old Benji. Reed, darling, bah, how can you care for that weakling when I'm here? And then that's, of course, when Reed learns of his elasticity in plastic. But it shows the four hands at the very end of the panel. When basically the creation of the Fantastic Four. I'm calling myself the Human Torch, saying go for me, the Invisible Girl. There's only one still missing. Ben. I ain't Ben anymore. I'm what Susan called me, the Thing. And I'll call myself Mr. Fantastic. It also goes on to talk about, well, it actually shows the cover from what would be the cover of Fantastic Four #1, and the attack by the mole man. There you go, pretty much right there. Then it actually shows Dr. James McDonald Hudson has invented a suit that gives the wearer superhuman abilities, and that's going to be Mac Hudson, which is the Guardian. Who became the leader of Alpha Flight. And also, right there, and at one to the left, the Maverick scientist finds other Mavericks, other moments of genius seeking to the proper change to grow. In the midst of it comes Hudson's greatest success and greatest failure, the mutant super agent codenamed Wolverine. So he just gets a mention here. Goes on to talk about Hank Pym and his incredible shrinking formula and how he became Giant Man, Goliath, and Ant-Man. And the comic ends with a story of the Skrulls. And how they impersonated the Fantastic Four. At the back of the comic, it shows the Marvel Saga Classic cover gallery. Fantastic Four cover, where it all began. Fantastic Four #1, November 1961. Henry Pym first introduced himself to Answers in Tales to Astonish, number 27, in January of 1962. And the Skrulls and the Fantastic Four first battled in Fantastic Four #2, January 1962. So there you have it, the Marvel Saga, issue #1. I also have issue #2 here, but we're not going to go over that one. Then I've got some other number ones. These number one stuff with a 1 to 5 issue limited series from Marvel, featuring none other than Mr. Francis Castiglione, the Punisher. Now notice how it says number one in a 4-issue limited series. That's a Mike Zecc painted cover. He just does some awesome covers. But then after number one, it went to number two, and number two is a number two in a 5-issue limited series. So one was a 4, 2 is a 5. What's up, B2, baby? You're up late. You that are up early getting ready to go to work. Number 3 is number 3 in a 4-issue limited series. So we're back to 4 issues. Still, we're looking at Mike Zecc painted cover. So then you would think this would be the last issue of the limited series, number 4 in a 4-issue limited series. But as if they were selling it on TV, but wait, there's more. The last issue is actually number 5 in a 5-issue limited series. So that was the Punisher 4/5 issue limited series that then led to the Punisher getting his very first unlimited series. Number 1, first issue of an unlimited series for the Punisher. This cover was done by Klaus Janson. But the one thing I always notice is that he's got 6 fingers. There's 1 finger on the trigger, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can only assume that his thumb is actually on the other side. Don't even guess anybody actually caught that. So that's number 1. I'm going to have 2 copies of it, both of them being newsstand. Looking at them, they both ended up being red too. Both of them have tick marks. Then staying with the Punisher, after they did that one, they did, here's number 1 for the Punisher War Journal. Carl Potts in 88. He also did Punisher War Zone. I've got the number 1 for the Punisher War Zone somewhere too, but I did not find that one in the same box as those. Also, what I did also find though is some Avengers, some Thors. Couldn't find any Thor stories or Avenger stories that really reach out and grab me. I do not have Thor number 1 or Avengers number 1. I think both of those I started collecting some around issue 200 or so. But what I did find was a limited series of, to borrow the words from, holy smokes, I had it in my head just a minute ago and it's gone now. Rudyard Kipling, The Man Who Would Be King. Balder is the man who would be king. Balder the Brave is who became king of Asgard originally in the comic series. And it was a 4-issue limited series. The artwork for the entire cover and series of the book is done by Mr. Walt Simonson. And the thing about Walt's signature, this is from April 11, 1985. It's a dragon. If you look at it real close, you can see, you can make it out. But his auto is a dragon. Issue number 2. There's our dragon again. Number 3. For me, Walt Simonson became the artist to do Thor. I came to really enjoy the way he drew faces, and it was he was the signature Thor artist for me. There's our dragon again. And then issue 4. Let's see if we can't find our dragon. There it is. Oh, tilting the wrong way. Looks like it's this way here. Simonson. Walt and Louise Simonson. The last book I want to take a look at is one I dug out specifically with a purpose. In 1986, actually they did it earlier. I think the first time did it was in 1983 or 84. Maybe as early as 80 or 81, but it was the official handbook of the Marvel Universe. And then they did it again in 1986, and they did the deluxe version. And I have that one, every book. But this right here is the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, book of weapons, hardware, and paraphernalia. Now, a lot of people pretty much agree that for the longest, the most well-known Marvel character was Wolverine. Spider-Man, everybody knew Spider-Man. And then now, of course, everybody knows Deadpool because of the movies, along with many other heroes. But when Wolverine hit the big screen, everybody fell in love with him. Now, they rewrote the origin story for Wolverine and the whole bone claw thing, because they did the bone claws when they did the Travel Back in Time movie, and he popped his claws and it came out and they were the bones. And then from there, I think the story evolved where the adamantium covered the bone claws from when he first got his powers, and that the claws were part of his powers. And originally, that was not the case at all. Wolverine's only power was the regeneration, full regeneration. So if you look into or look in the official handbook of the Marvel Universe, it talks about Wolverine's skeleton. Bones have longitudinal trenches reamed out of the surface and shaped adamantium strips tapped and inserted with a raised lip to protect bone surface. Exposed area of claw sheath. Here's a picture, basically, skeleton with labeled bones. Adamantium prosthetic claw exit ports grafted to major tarsal bones. But then if you look at the bottom there, detail of wrist and claw area. The X marks are bend of wrist axis, point of claws rest inside this point. Inert silicone bushing acts as a resilient body seal. Smaller group of muscles activate individual lock mechanisms. Group of linked muscles. All three claws surrounded by a silicone sheath to maintain sepsis, not shown. I guess technically they, you know, could have still had the story about that being, the adamantium sheathing a bone and that being the muscle that activated the claw. Of course, you wouldn't need the silicone sheath to maintain sepsis because he's got the healing factor. It also has in the weapons and hardware breakdowns of Dr. Doom's armor, Deathlock's bionic system, this one was really nice, Captain America's shield. Captain America's shield is a concave disc 2.5 feet in diameter weighing 12 pounds. It is made of a unique vibranium adamantium alloy. The shield was cast by American metallurgist Dr. Myron McLean, not Tony Stark's father, who was contracted by the U.S. government to create an impenetrable substance used for tanks during World War II. During his experiments, McLean combined vibranium with the steel alloy he was working with and created the disc-shaped shield. McLean was never able to duplicate the process. The shield was awarded to Captain America by the government several months after beginning his career. The shield has great aerodynamic properties. It is able to slice through the air with minimal wind resistance and deflection of path. Its great overall resilience combined with its natural concentric stiffness and able to rebound from solid objects with minimal loss of angular momentum. Virtually indestructible. It is resistant to penetration, temperature extremes, and the entire electromagnetic spectrum of radiation. The only way it can be damaged in any way is by tampering with its molecular bonding. I really did when this book first came out, reading about it and really learning. I mean, even Cyclops visor. I don't know if it's like the name's familiar, but actually no though. The 6-finger pitcher, huh? I wouldn't think that would allow him to get any kind of better grip on the ball. It's probably the last thing I show. I'm probably going to shut it down, Barry. Iron Man's helmet. Seeing it gives a complete breakdown of the internals of the helmet. Actually, I'll take that back. I'll go back down and show one more thing, since I did show the helmet. It gives a breakdown of Tony's briefcase and talks about the armor and how the armor is actually made out of like a chainmail. But once a magnetic effector field goes in it, that's when it flips up and becomes, the Iron Man armor. And there's a complete breakdown of the armor itself. But yeah, I really did remember when they first came out and had that one. I really did enjoy it. The cover art of the comic itself is one of my all-time favorite artists. And I can usually pick out his art just by, especially if there's a face. If there's a face anywhere that he drew, I can pretty much pick out that he did it. And that's Mr. John Byrne. His faces, chin, they're pretty easy to pick out. Of course, if all I had was that face from Doc Ock, I probably couldn't do it, but Hawkeye, Nick, Doc, Wonder Man, Cap, Cyclops, Wolverine. If I were to look at any one of those faces, I could tell you that it was John Byrne. Did I miss Doom? Oh, sure enough, I saw him right there. So, one more thing. I just saw a picture of it in the back. One of the other things they laid out, he only gave it a small section, a small piece, but still, this really didn't come into play till years later. This item right here. Silver Surfer surfboard. The Silver Surfer can use the board to attain 0.99 the speed of light in this universe, accelerating faster than his entire warp space around where the speed of light is not a limiting factor of velocity. When flying in an atmosphere, the surfer seldom exceeds Mach 10, 10 times the speed of sound. The speed of sound is about 770 miles an hour. But years later, when they would go ahead and give him his own comic, The Silver Surfer, which I've got issue number 1 and a few of them into the comic run, they drew a fin on the board, and right there you can see there is no fin. It's flat, completely flat. I don't know. I guess when I was a kid, I was a real nerd, and my attention for detail for that kind of stuff just it got aggravating for certain things. Oh, you see that back there? Huh? Yep, that is the only. It's not the only graded card I have. It's the only time I've submitted one of my cards to be graded. My son Edison had a card that we bought at a card show. It was a Pokemon card that he wanted to grade, and I originally pulled a bunch of cards, and then decided against it. But I've been rethinking that, and I might try to submit them to get graded. But then I ended up sending only this one. 1952, Bowman Charlie Dressen, manager of the um, Brooklyn Dodgers, and it graded a 5. Card's in really good shape. The corner's in really good shape. It's got some staining, I think, right there at the top a little bit. But when you flip it over in the back, it's got a real big stain, like a tape stain right there. '52 Bowman Charlie Dressen. The only card that I've ever sent in to be graded. Alrighty, Barry, what time is it? It's got to be early. Are you waking up to go into work already? Well, I was actually on earlier with Rex. Rex had a live going, and Aaron was there, along with Titus came in for a little bit. Barry Beers came in for a little bit. Southern Boys was there, and we all kind of did a little hangout. It was real nice. Opened some cards, and after actually the only reason I had going on is because I was getting ready to fire up a live. Couldn't sleep, got a lot. Gotcha, Barry. Well, go ahead and I know you're good for it because I've watched some of your walk videos. Break out that book, sit down, read, and that, if anything, should help to calm your mind. And of course, after you calm, that's taken care of. Um, your body should then drift off to sleep. But you need to calm your mind first. And again, from watching your videos and listen to you, especially your love of the Book of Psalms, go ahead and open that book up, and that should help you out, man. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I've gotten 3 individual videos. I'm not going to try to go ahead and edit those right this today. I'm off tomorrow, or off today actually from work. Um, so I'll probably fire up a computer later on and try to edit those lives, because I know that once you stop a live, it goes in, I think it goes in private. Not a problem, man. Not a problem at all. But I really hope that works out for you and that you can get back to sleep. Um, Especially if you have to wake up in a couple hours to go to work. But I don't. I have to wake up to be here with the kids, because the school district where my wife works went ahead, and even though the schools are closed and the daycares are closed, they had the teachers come in for an in-service day. So I ended up having to take vacation to stay home with the kids. Not that I mind staying home, but I don't like, that it's February and I've already burnt. I think this would be my 3rd day of vacation already. Um, and for every one of them, it was to stay home with a sick child. So, but yeah, I'm gonna call it a night. I appreciate you. I appreciate you hanging out really at 3 in the morning. So, but I hope you can get some sleep, and hope I can get these videos cleaned up, because it's been a couple of weeks since I put a video on my channel. So, but I did 3 separate videos tonight. One with some baseball cards, one with some die casts, and this last one is going to be just the comics. Thanks, I appreciate it, Barry. So get some sleep, or get some reading done and then get some sleep. And I will see you guys later. Happy President's Day, because that's what tomorrow is. As always, my final greeting, Tschüss, which is German for take it easy. Later, man.